Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, there's accusations in a new book out that the Dodgers were cheating like the Astros were. We'll talk a little bit about why those accusations don't quite pass the sniff test. We're also going to talk about yet another new rule coming to Major League Baseball, and a projection system finally likes the Dodgers. PECOTA likes the Dodgers. We're going to talk all about that. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. Or even better, go ahead and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now, and then you will never miss a day because you know we're not going to. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snider. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio, although it's just me today. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like you are. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. So we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And with that, let's jump right in. Vince had yesterday, and he talked about the news over the weekend of the Dodgers signing David Peralta and Alex Reyes. I don't have a lot to add to what Vince said. Obviously, there will be plenty to say about both of those guys as spring training goes on and we start to see what they have to offer. But Vince covered it pretty well. If you missed Friday and Monday's episodes, it was a two-part conversation between me and Keith Law of The Athletic, talking about the Dodgers farm system. A lot of really good information there, a lot to be excited about for Dodger fans. And so I really enjoyed that conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And let's jump right in to, all right, Evan Drellich, who was one of the two reporters for The Athletic who broke the news of the Astros being cheating cheaters. Late 2019, they broke it. It was him and Ken Rosenthal. Well, Drellich wrote a book called Winning Fixes Everything. And it's basically about that, basically capitalizing on his role in that reporting and one of the biggest stories in baseball history. And so now there's a book about it. And the book just came out yesterday. And over the last few weeks, there have been little excerpts coming out in different publications. Basically, it's advertising for the book. And there was one of those recently that in the Boston Globe that I want to talk about. It says an unidentified former member of the Red Sox says the Dodgers cheated in 2018 World Series and got caught, but MLB did nothing. That's a tweet from at MLB Metrics. There's a screenshot from the quote from the book. It says an unidentified member of the Red Sox accuses the Dodgers of engaging in the same kind of subterfuge. I don't know the context if he's talking about the same things that the Red Sox were found guilty of doing or same things the Astros had done. I don't know the context there. But then his quote from the member of the Red Sox says, the Dodgers have always been the thing that bothers me the most because they're the biggest cheaters in the whole bleeping industry. They were doing it against us in the 2018 World Series. They got caught by Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball did nothing. Now, this isn't just an accusation of cheating. This is an accusation of collusion between the Dodgers and MLB. They got caught and MLB didn't do anything. But what motivation? Anytime you're faced with a conspiracy theory, you have to look at, okay, what's the motivation and how much would it take to get away with it? This person is really saying Major League Baseball caught the Dodgers cheating, caught the Dodgers doing the same thing that Major League Baseball later punished the Astros and Red Sox for doing, and they looked the other way. So what's the motivation to look the other way for the Dodgers while punishing the Astros and the Red Sox? Can you think of anything? Because I can't think of anything. I can't think of any motivation the league would have to punish two teams and look the other way on another team. It sounds like the talk of somebody whose team actually got caught cheating and got punished for it, and is trying to justify it. That's just what it sounds like to me. And let me give you a disclaimer here. Unlike fans of a lot of teams, I love baseball and I abhor cheating in baseball. If I, as a Dodger fan, Dodgers podcaster, Dodgers writer, if I found out that the Dodgers had cheated the way the Astros did, I would be really, really disappointed to the point of it would affect my fandom. I don't know how much and for how long, but one thing I would never do is defend it. And so I know some people are blinded by fandom. And so fans of the cheating Astros may listen to what I'm saying and say, oh, Jeff's just defending the cheating Dodgers. And I am looking at this not dispassionately, I'm very passionate, as you can tell. I'm looking at it as unbiasedly as I can, and just from a logical perspective. I am a smart person. I don't apologize for that. I'm smart. And when I see something like this that would require Major League Baseball choosing to let the Dodgers get away with something that they didn't let two other teams get away with, I'd have to see what MLB's motivation would be to do that in order for me to even consider believing that story. And then another unidentified source from the Red Sox. It gets even better. Some more details. Jock Peterson apparently ran into a video room at Fenway Park. That's the tweet from MLB Metrics. I'm just going to read you this snippet from the book. Another Red Sox source told Drellich that Dodgers outfielder Jock Peterson ran into the visiting video area at Fenway where an MLB official and Chase Utley were already sitting. And then quote from Jock, "Hey, did you guys get his signs yet?" Peterson apparently asked. And they're just like, bleep an idiot, said the source. Okay. So in this fun story, Chase Utley and an MLB official are hanging out together in the Dodgers video room during the World Series while Chase Utley is trying to get the Red Sox signs. And the way he says, Jock Peterson, did you get his signs? Like almost as if like the MLB official was part of the process. I don't know. I'm not sure what this guy's saying, but more to the point, apparently there was somebody from the Red Sox in the room too. This anonymous source who's telling the story. So this quote from Jock, "Hey, did you get a sign yet?" And then the quote from Utley and the MLB official, "Bleep an idiot." That implies that there was somebody from the Red Sox watching this interaction. So in this story, the Red Sox knew that the Dodgers were cheating. They watched them do it. They watched MLB help the Dodgers do it. And then when the Red Sox got punished for cheating just a couple of years later, they didn't say anything. They just, okay, well, I guess they just got it out for us. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. I'm not even going to go so far as to say the Dodgers didn't cheat. I don't believe they did. I'm positive, 1,000% sure that they didn't do anything to the level that the Astros did. The Astros, what they did was unique, and it was caught on video. Like, we have video evidence for the Astros doing it. Do you really think if other teams had done that, we wouldn't have video evidence by now? No, I don't believe that. Could the Dodgers have crossed the line in the sense, in the way the Red Sox did, as far as, because here's the thing, you know what? I have more to say about this, and I'm looking at the clock. I need to take a quick break. And so I have at least a few more minutes to talk about this. So I'm going to come back just in a minute, and I'm going to talk some more about how crazy it is and how, what the Dodgers might have done, what they might not have done, but why this stuff in the book just doesn't pass the sniff test for me. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. One thing that I'm kind of interested in, I live in Utah, as you probably know, and the NBA All-Star game is coming to Utah. So I was looking, and you can bet on the 3-point contest. Options are Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Larry Markkinen, Kevin Huerter, Tyrese Halliburton, and Tyler Hero. I would choose Damian Lillard because he played college basketball in Utah. I don't know, mainly because he's the main guy I've heard of here. I've heard some of the other names. I don't know anything about basketball. You guys know that. But if I was going to bet on the 3-point contest, I'd probably pick some dumb criteria like, oh, Damian Lillard is the biggest star in the game, in the contest, so I'm going to choose him. And his odds are plus 480, which means if you bet $100, you get $580, your $100 back, and $480 more if he wins the 3-point contest. And really, all of the odds here, because it's such an even contest, the lowest is Buddy Hield at plus 460. And so anybody you bet on, if you win, you're going to make some pretty decent money. So just an example of what you can do at FanDuel. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And once again, I forgot to put the ad up on the screen, so I'm going to leave it up for a couple minutes. And I am back. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the YouTube comments section. If you're listening on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you through social media or email or whatever. I'll give you all the contact info at the end, like I always do. But with that said, let's jump back into this. So I was talking about these accusations in Evan Drellich's new book of the Dodgers cheating. And like I was going to say, I'm not so naive to say that the Dodgers would never cheat. I'm positive they didn't do what the Astros did. I've had players who were on the Dodgers in 2017 telling me that they weren't doing anything like what the Astros were doing. And for me, it's like the analogy I came up with, and I'm not sure how good it is, but I think it's okay. It's like if there was a race. If we were racing from my house in Utah to Dodger Stadium, 661 miles, and the rule was you cannot exceed the speed limit. And, but you're driving, you're like, oh, maybe nobody's looking. Oh, speed limit's 80 here. Most of Utah speed limit's 80. It's really nice for road trips. I'm going to set my cruise control at 82 and hope I don't get caught. And then, and then you have the Astros driving, they just set their cruise control at 110 and just flip off the cops on their way past. That's the difference here. Is it wrong to go 82 in an 80 zone when you're in a contest that doesn't allow speeding? Yeah. Is it the same as going 110? No. And so if the Dodgers are found to have cheated, I will be very disappointed. If they are found to have cheated the way the Astros did, it would really, really affect my fandom. If they're found to have cheated, like there was a case a few years ago. The Dodgers were using laser pointers before a game to help position their outfielders. And then they were using laser pointers during the game for a game or two, I think, to help help position their outfielders. And then Major League Baseball said, no, can't do that. And they said, okay. And they stopped doing it. Like a team like the Dodgers is going to press the limits. But when it's a clear right and wrong, like what the Astros did, there's zero evidence that the Dodgers have come anywhere close to pushing those limits. And the other part that I wanted to say is, and it just popped out of my head, pushing the limits, doing what the Astros did. Oh yeah. So these anonymous sources, I have an issue with anonymous sources. I understand sometimes why anonymous sources exist. I think it's important sometimes. The Watergate scandal was taken down. Whole thing, president was taken down because of anonymous sources. But in this case, when you don't know who the accusers are and you don't even really know what the accusations are, you have an anonymous source saying the Dodgers are the biggest bleeping cheaters in the whole industry. Like, okay, details. And without those details, all we know is some guy, and we don't know who it is, don't even know it's a guy, I guess. Some person says the Dodgers are the biggest cheaters. That's not news. That is a commercial for a book that's coming out. That's all it is. because until we know, like a few years ago, Logan Morrison actually put his name on an accusation. And what he said was that I know for sure that Yankees and Astros and Dodgers and Red Sox are all using game film to decipher signs. Yeah, they were. That's legal. It's doing it during the game in real time that's not legal. What the Red Sox did, what they got in trouble for, was they were using this video feed during the game and seeing, like, deciphering the sign sequences during the game. And so they would change their scouting report during the game and say, oh, this is the signs they're going with now. So when you're on second base, that you can pick up the signs. You can't do it in real time. You absolutely can do it as scouting for a team. You can try to figure out, what signs do they use? And if you pick up a pattern, you can use that. Every team is doing that, and every team's allowed to do that. And so in the case of Logan Morrison, we're able to say, Logan Morrison, not surprisingly, is a big dumb oaf who doesn't understand what's legal and what's not legal. So when he accuses people of cheating, it's clear that he just doesn't actually know what is cheating and what's not. With anonymous sources, we don't know if it's a big dumb oaf like Logan Morrison or if it's a different kind of big dumb oaf, and we don't even know specifically what they're being accused of doing. And so there's no value to this. If the Dodgers cheated, I want to know. But just some anonymous source saying they're the biggest cheaters in the whole bleeping industry means nothing. It means less than nothing, especially when the few anecdotes we do get are so beyond the pale of reality. It's like, why would MLB help Chase Utley and the Dodgers decipher signs when they're going to crack down on it on a couple other teams a year from now? Why? And if you can't answer the why, and put your name on the accusation. Mike Fiers put his name on the accusation. He said, when I was on the Astros, here's what the Astros did. Here's when they did it. Here's how they did it. And that gave details for people to corroborate. And sure enough, people corroborated them. If you know what happened, put your name on it and give details like Mike Fiers did. I'm not saying Mike Fiers is a great dude. I'm not saying, I think he probably did the right thing for the wrong reason. I don't care. I'll take the right thing for the wrong reason over the wrong thing for the wrong reason. And put your name on it, give real accusations. Anything else, like, I haven't read Drellich's book. I'm probably not going to. I like baseball biographies. I don't know. This kind of book doesn't really appeal to me. I don't want to relive the fact that the Astros stole a World Series from the Dodgers. So I probably won't read the book. And this kind of stuff definitely doesn't make me want to read it more. It's like, well, okay, well, is there anything of value in the book? Because what I've seen so far, no. So again, this is not a biased Dodger fan defending the Dodgers. This is a fan of logic and intelligence saying, okay, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where's the even specific accusations that pass the smell test? And nothing so far. All right. Next topic. And we'll take another break in a minute. But next topic is there's a new rule, or it's maybe a rule that's adjacent. We know the pitch clock is coming to baseball. And on Tuesday, we found out that they are also cracking down on illegal deliveries because the reasoning behind it is because the pitch clock says from the time the pitcher gets the ball back from the catcher or umpire, he needs to then start the delivery for his next pitch within 15 seconds with nobody on base or 20 seconds with runners on base. And Major League Baseball wants it to be more clear what constitutes starting a pitching delivery. And if you've ever watched Mike Clevinger pitch, you understand what they're talking about. Mike Clevinger is doing this weird little dance on the mound, and then he pitches. Well, what constitutes the start of his delivery? And that's kind of the question. You know, Kevin Gausman and Kenley Jansen both do this thing where they, as they're coming set, they tap their left foot a couple times and then come set. You have Luis Garcia of the Astros, who does a weird, like, rocking a baby and then stepping forward, then stepping back. This is for his windup. All of that stuff is now illegal, and realistically probably always was illegal, but it's now going to be enforced, which means balks will be called if people do that. Or if there's nobody on base. And that maybe the most interesting thing is this applies with nobody on base. In the past, it's always pitchers can do whatever the crap they want with nobody on base, and nothing gets called, even though the rule book allows for an illegal pitch call, which is an automatic ball. and they're going to start doing that. And so Luis Garcia, if he does his weird windup, it'll be no pitch, ball one. They're announcing this now so that pitchers can get used to it in spring training. Kenley Jansen is going to have to get used to coming set in a new way. Kevin Gausman going to have to get used to it. Mike Clevinger is going to have to change his entire lifestyle, which might not be a bad idea considering Mike Clevinger. And they're going to have spring training to get it figured out. I'm guessing it won't actually lead to many more balk calls because pitchers will have time to figure it out. And by the time the games start counting, I think there will be balk calls in spring training. By the time the games start counting, they will have figured it out. Some guys might be stubborn and try to press limits. I don't really see a competitive advantage to pressing the limits. So I don't think there will be too much of that, but it is interesting. And honestly, thank you. I cannot stand, and obviously some is Mike Clevinger. He's got that stupid face. He's got that stupid hair. He's a piece of human garbage. Everything about Mike Clevenger's, but that windup is so bad. And so I'm so glad to see it go. Even Kenley Jansen, who I love, like it gets kind of annoying watching the foot tap as he's coming set. So I'm excited. I think it's a good rule. It'll be interesting to see what effect, if any, it has, but it simplifies things and it just it'll speed up the game a little bit. I think it'll help Kenley Jansen pitch a little quicker too, because he's always had this weird, slow, deliberate thing. Well, he's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. That's all I really want to say about that rule. Just acknowledging it. I don't think it really affects any Dodgers too much. I think maybe Dustin May sometimes has a little bit of a toe tap as he's coming set, but nothing too drastic. But I think every pitcher will have to look at what they do and say, okay, do I need to tweak anything? And so I think it's something that will affect every pitcher, but obviously some pitchers a lot more than others. So I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to talk about, what am I going to talk about in this last segment? I'm going to talk about PECOTA, the projection system from Baseball Prospectus, and how it actually likes the Dodgers. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. All right, I am back. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. When you're done here for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Prospects. I'll tell you more about that in a couple minutes. Again, love to hear from you in the YouTube comment section or on social media. Love to hear your thoughts on everything we're talking about. I'm interested in your thoughts about what I had to say about the cheating and everything. If you think it passes a smell test, let me know. I don't claim to be right about everything. I hardly even claim to be right about anything. But I feel right about this right now. And yeah, so last topic, a new projection system came out and it was PECOTA. And unlike most of the other projection systems, this one actually likes the Dodgers. PECOTA has the Dodgers winning the National League West, winning 97.4 games and finishing like 3 games ahead of the Padres. Excuse me. And so I was looking at PECOTA and some of the differences, and all projection systems are conservative, but PECOTA seems to, like, Julio Urias is one guy that I looked at. You guys probably remember, if you watched that episode, I kind of ranted about the Steamer projections for Julio. Steamer has Julio having a 4.05 ERA next year. Julio has never had an ERA of 4.05. Julio's career ERA is significantly better than 4.05. He's coming off 2 great seasons. Like, there's no reason to think Julio is going to have a 4.05 ERA, except if you don't believe that he is actually good at inducing soft contact. Because, yeah, Julio doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but nobody hits the ball hard against him. And that is very valuable for a pitcher. Steamer doesn't believe in that. PECOTA doesn't totally believe in it, but they believe in it more than Steamer does. PECOTA, their projections, I like. They have a whole series of percentile projections saying, okay, at his 99th percentile, meaning the best case scenario for this guy, what would his stats be? And then at the first percentile, what would his stats be? And then a bunch of numbers in between. And so if we look at Julio, his 99th percentile ERA is, where did it go? 2.52. So PECOTA saying best case scenario, 2.52, 2.52 ERA for Julio. Is it accurate to say his best case scenario is 30 points worse, almost 30 points worse than, no, over 30 points worse than his ERA last year? No, I think there's a chance Julio could have an ERA in the 210s, 220s again. PECOTA doesn't, but they're giving a 2.52 ERA as kind of his top, but their first percentile, meaning the worst case scenario for Julio, they have him at 392. So according to PECOTA, their worst case scenario for Julio is about 13 points better than what Steamer is saying is going to happen. And their 50th percentile, meaning the most likely outcome, is a 3.20 ERA. You know what? 3.20. I'll take that in this projection because, like I said, projections are conservative by nature. And so, like another example, the conservative nature of the projections, Freddie Freeman's 50th percentile OPS is 845. He hasn't an OPS that low in 8 years. And so everybody, it's going to be like that. You're going to be, okay, well, yeah, I can picture a world where Freddie does better than his 99th percentile projections. I can picture a world where Julio does better than his 99th percentile. And even if they both hit their 50th percentile, that's pretty decent. And so their actual projected standings are based on kind of that 50th percentile most likely outcome, which means even with these conservative projections, PECOTA has the Dodgers winning 97.6 games. That is excellent news because chances are, and some guys are going to do worse than they're projected. Somebody's going to have a bad season. Somebody's going to be hurt. Not everything's going to go perfectly for the Dodgers. If everything went perfectly for the Dodgers, they could easily challenge last year's 111 wins. That's not going to happen. No team has ever had everything go perfectly for them in a season. But it's not hard at all to picture this team winning 100, 105 games because conservative projections have them at 97.6. And so that's I think the second best record in baseball by these projections. Yeah, the Yankees are projected to win 99.1. Dodgers 97.6, the Mets 96.7, Astros 96.4. Both Centrals are projected to be really bad. AL Central is projected to have the Guardians win with 89 wins. NL Central, the Brewers win it with 88 wins. But yeah, this has the Dodgers with 95.5% chance of making the playoffs, 64.8% chance of winning the division, and even a 11.3% chance of winning the World Series, which is fourth best percentage. It has the Yankees, Astros, and Mets with a better chance to win the World Series. But still, I mean, this is really good. And it just... projections don't actually matter. They don't mean anything, but it makes me feel better a little bit because when I look at the Dodgers, I see a team that was very, very, very historically good last year. And yeah, they lost some players, but if you look, and I did this comparison a week or two ago, but I'll do it again because I know not everybody watches or listens to every episode. The Dodgers lost among good players. They lost 2 hitters, 2 starting pitchers, and 2 relievers. They lost Justin and Trey Turner. They lost Tyler Anderson and Andrew Heaney, and they lost Tommy Kahnle and Chris Martin. Those are the 6 players. They also lost Craig Kimbrell and Cody Bellinger. So that's, a net positive. They lost Joey Gallo. They lost Hanser Alberto, who were basically, other than really being friendly with each other, they didn't bring much to the team. So they lost those 6 players who actually will impact the team negatively, losing them. But you look at who they replace them with. They're replacing Trey and Justin Turner with JD Martinez and Miguel Vargas. That has potential to be pretty decent. Like probably, I expect JD Martinez to be at least roughly as good as Justin Turner was last year, maybe a little better. And Miguel Vargas, I expect him probably not to be quite as good as Trey Turner was last year, but Trey Turner had a down year last year. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Vargas is as good a hitter as Trey was last year. Vargas's defensive value probably won't be what Trey's was. Trey wasn't a great defensive shortstop, but he was a shortstop and he was solid. So more valuable than a second baseman. But, that's not quite a wash, but a lot closer than people are giving it credit for. Then on the starting pitching side, they lost Tyler Anderson and Andrew Heaney. They're replacing those 2 guys with Noah Syndergaard and Dustin May. you don't have to squint very hard at all to picture Noah Syndergaard and Dustin May being better than the combination of Tyler Anderson and Andrew Heaney were last year. Heaney was hurt a lot. He got knocked out of the rotation near the end of the season because he just couldn't stop giving up home runs. Tyler Anderson was great. Just solid, very good season. But Noah Syndergaard and Dustin May could easily match what those two starting pitchers gave the Dodgers last year. And then the relief pitching, Tommy Kenley and Chris Martin. Martin didn't even come to the Dodgers till August. Kenley missed most of the season. They were both good when they were with the Dodgers, but then they're being replaced by, what's his name? Shelby Miller and Daniel Hudson and Alex Reyes and, whoever else. The bullpen is going to be fine. It's going to be a really good bullpen. And the bullpen lost Craig Kimbrell. So that's a win right there. Dodgers are replacing Cody Bellinger with anybody. Whoever replaces Cody Bellinger is likely to hit better than Cody Bellinger did last year. So this team could be very good. And I see that. And I know I'm biased. I know I'm a Dodger fan. Like, it's why I do this podcast. And I sometimes would think I'd look at these projections and be like, okay, what are they seeing that I'm not? And I see PECOTA and they get it. They're seeing what I'm seeing, that this is a really good team. And especially, you've got Max Muncy and Chris Taylor, who could both be better than they were last year. Even Will Smith he had in some ways, like by rate stats, he had his worst offensive season last year. He was still very good and had his most valuable season overall because of playing time. Will Smith could be better. Mookie Betts was inconsistent last year. He could be better. Freddie Freeman's probably not going to be better than what he was last year, but it's not like he was otherworldly last year. I wouldn't expect him to get significantly worse. Gavin Lux could be better than he was last year because he was better than he was last year. Up until his neck injury, he was very, very good. His neck injury dragged down his stats. There's ways the Dodgers could be better. And overall, no, I would not predict 111 wins. I wouldn't even put money on 105 wins or 103 wins. But if I had to put money on either 98 or more, or 97 or less, easy choice, 98 or more. I'm super confident in that. And like I said, anything can happen. Injuries can happen. But this is a good team. And PECOTA sees it. And that makes me like PECOTA, at least for right now. Next time they make me mad, I'll be mad at him again. But for now, I like PECOTA. That's going to do it for me for today. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. If you're not watching or listening to Locked On Dodgers every weekday morning, please add 1 or 2 days a month to your rotation. We would love to see it. If you have friends or family who love the Dodgers like you do, please tell them about the show. Maybe they'll like it. You can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at Vince Samperio. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and the DMs are open in all of those places. Our email address is lockedondodgers@gmail.com, and our phone number for voicemails or text messages is 323-863-LOCK, 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.